Hey, Rainy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel, where today we are going to be checking out the next album in the Bjork discography, because if you have been following along, we have been listening to every single Bjork album in order from debut onwards. Now today, of course, we are going to be listening to Biophilia. And before we get into it, I just want to say, if you want to hear and watch this video completely unedited, go ahead and check out my Patreon down below in the description. For $5 a month, you get all my videos, Bjork, Pink Floyd, and everything else I've released this year unedited for just $5 a month. But otherwise, here is the edited video, edited down to where I have something to add, something to say. Biophilia was released in 2011 as 10 tracks. It's 49 minutes and 26 seconds long, with each track averaging, it would seem, around the 5-minute mark, which is a pretty solid runtime for each of these. Doesn't feel like any of them go too long or anything will go too short, so I'm kind of wondering how these are padded out. I just want to also add that from what I've read, this album deals with themes of the environment, of nature, of, I would imagine to some extent, kind of how humanity has reflected on nature and impacted nature, given the fact that Bjork is a bit of a environmentalist of sorts. But without further ado, let's jump into the project here. Let's jump into Biophilia with the opening track, Moon.
As the lukewarm hands of the
I like the gentle nature of this one.
came down and out, nourished them.
Maybe it has to do with, I'm not sure what this has to do. I was going to say, like clams, perhaps, and the human nature of harvesting pearls. I don't know. I'm taking it too literal, perhaps. I like that. It's a nice pound. It's got a nice vibration to it.
Is being in life
I like how
threatening circumstances.
Look how gentle this is. Even that like slow kind of thudding sound has a nice slow approach on you.
And once
Really enjoy this minimal nature she's taking here. Oh, gorgeous backing vocals there she's adding. Just really swelling and surrounding in that sound. Like a choir of Bjorks. Perhaps a theme of building yourself up after failure, of learning from your mistakes. I'm loving her vocals are so incredibly wrapped around and enveloping, and yet so minimal in these verses. A nice glimmering kind of track as well. This just gentle string instrument plucked away. This got to be like one of her more kind of background ambient light tracks that I've heard her do so far. I wonder if the whole album will have this approach of almost like Eastern tranquility, which she's kind of flirted with a little bit in the past. It's very beautiful. It's very tranquil, sweet. Love that one. Not sure what to take of it lyrically. Perhaps embracing failure, embracing success from failure, maybe. Here's Thunderbolt.
Staring at water's edge,
Certainly
cold frost.
creating a pretty distinct atmosphere.
My
I hope carries out.
wake, craving miracles, craving miracles.
Oh,
No,
oh.
imagine
Very, like this one, even more minimal than that opener. Great use of space there. Completely cuts off all sound. Really has you leaning in, waiting for the next thing here. And then this kind of like synth line,
the light shock.
feeling very retro, kind of like an old video game soundtrack. Oh, there it is. That little bit of space makes a bigger impact. There it is again. Kind of like a medieval feel to this. Also, I don't know if I've touched on this too much. As her discography has progressed, it's really interesting seeing her evolution, both sonically and lyrically. Every album having a different, distinct concept and atmosphere. But there's one thing I've noticed is that as we get deeper and deeper into her catalog, every album I feel like lyrically gets more and more abstract. Like it's not nearly as concrete in its themes as some of her earlier projects, such as, of course, Debut and Post, which were, I feel like, pretty evident from their lyrics what they were often about. And then even, I would argue, Homogenic and Vespertine, although a little bit more abstract, still lyrically very easy to kind of divulge and pick apart. But as we get further into her discography here, I do find a lot of her tracks start to really push the boundaries of lyricism into an abstract nature that are much harder to decipher, which not a bad thing at all. Kind of just embracing a more artistic fashion. But I love this main synth line. So like low bit. Oh, what an incredible eerie atmosphere. Oh my god. Once again, touching on a theme of like a ethereal love, something that she has kind of, talked about in the past. I wonder how this plays into the themes of nature and the world. I am kind of curious if this is kind of a reference to some extent to like fungi and spores and mushrooms kind of taking over and being all-encompassing. But perhaps I am reaching out too far lyrically here. Maybe it is not as far-reaching. I do love the sounds on this one. So much more just dense. Love this. That synth is like cascading and pummeling. That is great. Ooh. What a heavy, distorted synth. Oh my god. Love how glitchy and sporadic this weird synth has been throughout the track. Oh, felt quite heavy there in its outro. Thunderbolt's fantastic. What a track. I feel like these tracks are very hypnotic. I feel myself kind of losing myself entirely into the sounds as they really just take hold of you. Love that main synth line though. I feel like it is really the most intriguing element of that track. Here's Crystalline, Or is it Crystalline? Here it is, though. Let's get into it. The most popular track at 5 million. I think this was the single off this LP, I believe. Love the use of like high pitches throughout this record so far. Whether it be strings or this weird key, perhaps. I feel like we're in like a crystal cavern too with this high pitch playing. A nice bass line coming in here, cutting through. Love the sweet kind of playful nature of this track. I feel like we are deep in like a cave system with this track. Under the earth. So like metallic and crystal-like, I would say, in its sound. Oh, those very like lean in moments where it's so gentle and quiet. Pretty hard like impacts when it all comes in, as gentle as it is. Oh, okay. Gonna be like a huge drop here. Oh, what? Is that the Amen break? That is the Amen break if I've ever heard it. Oh, what a incredible drop this has been. Love that one. Wow, what a massive ending outro that was, with the Amen break really cutting through there, seemingly being about maybe the life of a crystal. I feel like we are deep in the cave system of that one, like deep under the Earth's crust, and it has such a organic feel to it in its growth. And then that final drop, just incredibly sporadic, wild. That Amen break feeling as rapid as ever. Really interesting. This album, very loose structures, I would say too. Every track, there's no concrete, clear, structure to both lyrics and the instrumentals. I feel like, again, Bjork getting continually more abstract, more out there, more atmospheric and focused on texture than anything else. Whether or not you like that really is going to be if you enjoy some nice texture over substance, perhaps. Not that she lacks substance, but I feel like she's definitely playing with music in a way that is far out of the norm at this point. Here is Cosmogony, whatever it is. It's this track 4, I believe we're in. Very interesting atmosphere of this record. I'm not sure what to make of it. This feels like the THX, I think it was, opening. Some nice horns, perhaps. Maybe we'll get orchestral on here. I don't know.
Universe was an empty sea until a silver
It's about the birth of the universe, perhaps. Quite a mystical origin here. Quite fantasy, quite beautiful. not sure which.
shell. He made
She's pulling from a very distinct mythology here. I'm not sure what it is. None of this sounds familiar. Cold Black Egg, or the Silver Fox. Neither of those ring any bells to me. I'm wondering if it is perhaps her Icelandic culture here coming through, which I'm unfamiliar with, the mythology perhaps from Iceland. But that's what I'm gathering, and that's what I'm assuming is what we're gathering.
world where universe was an endless land.
Seems from what I was reading there, it's pulling from multiple interpretations about the birth of the universe here.
Until our ancestors went back to sleep. They
Love just how slow,
up
meticulous this one feels.
to the world we know.
Oh, and I love this main chorus. Very angelic.
I wasn't even there until a certain bang.
Here's the Big Bang. I know that one.
Then there was light, was sound, was heaven.
Such a
Heaven's body
kind of operatic and otherworldly performance on this chorus.
in then
What an airy track. What a beautiful, wispy sort of track. Oh, but we're getting a little dark here in the outro. Howling. Perhaps the universe shutting down? Love that track. I really like thematically and lyrically. I think that's my favorite track so far. She's not necessarily picking or pointing towards one belief more than another. I feel like she's just kind of stating these ideas, these concepts of the birth of the world in a way that feels very casual, very sympathetic, very unique. Again, I like she's not picking a position is essentially what I'm saying, and I like that. Even the Big Bang Theory, there's a lot of people who strongly believe in the Big Bang Theory, even on this track. Puts it against theories such as the Silver Fox idea that she had there about singing a song which birthed the universe. Obviously pretty, fantastical, mythical, wild, and inventive, but up against the Big Bang Theory, kind of making it also feel equally as absurd in nature. I kind of like the way she addresses each one in a way that feels just otherworldly. Great track. That's probably my favorite so far. I don't know if that's a hot take. I just love the slow nature of it. Here's Dark Matter. And I also am a fan of space themes, so I guess that one would be more up my alley. I was wondering what the lyrics were. It's just gibberish. What an eerie tone this one is. I feel like is that an organ? I feel like we are in the end times here. I love the atmosphere on this record. I'm digging it more than some of their other LPs, I'll say that. Very kind of fantasy based, I feel like a lot of these are, or just vivid. Very twisted and dark, I guess fitting given the title Dark Matter. Probably definitely the darkest sounding track I think Bjork has done. I don't know if she's done something that feels so twisted and kind of in a horror atmosphere, which I certainly dig. Here is Hollow. I feel like she would do a really great horror movie soundtrack, to be honest, with just how textured she has become at this point. But Hollow is the name of this track. Let's get into it. I did like that last one. We'll give that a like as well. Pinging us around here. Bit of like a medieval tone as well, I would say, on this track, and a couple of the other tracks on this LP so far. Not sure how I feel about this one. I like these almost like sounds like wind instruments here being played. I kind of like it, but I also feel like it is really running its course. I want some more variation here. I need some more, just something. There's such an eeriness. This is such a weird... I feel like this one's breaking my brain. This is such a bizarre one, both sonically and lyrically. I'm not sure. Is this about her ancestors kind of coming to this new land? The land of opportunity, perhaps, here? I'm not sure. Making a society for themselves. Definitely feels quite medieval and fantastical. Fantasy based. A trunk of DNA trunk. Now come forth. Is this about ancestry and I really don't know if I like this track at all. I'm intrigued by it more than anything. But I think, would I listen to this on my own? Would I pick this song over the plethora of other great Bjork songs? Definitely not. I feel like we are getting so abstract on this LP. It's really make me scratch my head and think far more than normal. It does seem to be about Okay, we're getting a bit danceable and kind of funky here. Silence. Like I said, a really great use of space throughout this album, leading into more impact, but I'm really conflicted on this track. No. It's really not doing much for me. Okay, I don't know how to make heads or tails on this track. I think it's an interesting concept, dealing with themes of ancestry and your DNA and maybe your place in belonging in the world. Something that I feel like if you told me that she had a track dealing with themes of DNA and ancestry that had kind of a perhaps wind instrument kind of focus, sounded like, and some keys, and you told me it had a little bit of a medieval feel to it, and it played with a bit of silence and ambience and atmosphere, I would imagine a track far more greater than what we just heard. I feel like that track didn't really do a whole lot with the nearly 6 minutes that it ran. You're halfway through, and it's still pretty much the same palette and vocals that you've heard at this point 3 minutes in, and then for that last 3 minutes it does get a little bit more sporadic and wild, but at that point, I mean, it's kind of gone and went. The theme has been exhausted, and I feel like sonically that kind of almost funky danceable outro is still pretty underwhelming. disappointed in that track is essentially what I'm saying. I think that's the conclusion I'm coming to, is that I didn't really like it. But can't win them all. Let's go into Virus. I'm just conflicted on this album quite a bit. And I feel like that's the case after Vespertine. Bjork's albums do really vary in quality and direction in a way that really just leaves you scratching your head and curious more than anything. But I'm not sure I particularly like it at all times. Very artsy though, and I certainly appreciate that. Here's Virus though. Let's just keep it going. It's a forget what it's called, drum pan type instrument. And using elements of nature, soft tissue, virus, mushroom, the proteins. Is she, in this sense, using the term virus sickness as a metaphor of maybe falling in love? Could be a metaphor for love, could also just be playing the role of the sickness here. Really do like the swelling, glimmery, shimmery approach of this track, and I like that kind of sonic palette she's been doing throughout this LP, which is much higher pitched and crystal-like, like that earlier track. Love the lyrics here in this track here. Like a flame that seeks explosives as gunpowder needs a war. Really love how just strong and bold those lyrics feel. And even just these other lines as well. Mushroom on a tree trunk as the protein transmutates. Very interesting lyricism. Very, again, not as abstract as some of the others, but certainly more poetic. Such a high-pitched chime of this track. Oh. I'm pulling from an earlier track there, lyrically. As nice as these high-pitched chimes are, they are ear-piercing at times, I will say. Jarring. Like this track is very pretty though, very sweet in its sentiment. I think it's a metaphor for love. But it also could be a dark, twisted sickness preying on an individual. There's a bit of a loose melody at play here, as sporadic as it sounds. Very jarring, very jarring, and so high pitched that it could be a little bit too deafening, but it also feels just so pretty, so crystal-like, like that earlier track. I feel like we are just, it just sinks into a realm that is sweet, sentimental, and kind of gorgeous. There might be a twisted nature to the lyrics. Maybe is some terminal illness that is preying on a human, on an individual. Or it could be a metaphor for love, however you want to look at it. But I really liked that track a lot. I think that's one of my favorite tracks, along with Cosmogony, and Crystalline, and Thunderbolt. Those tracks are all quite strong, and I feel like the most concrete in their themes, message, and direction. Here's Sacrifice. Why can't you give her But again, sonically, I feel like this LP is just very bold and abstract, yet still distinct in its atmosphere. Her vocals here are much quieter than the rest of the mix. Perhaps about some sort of dominating force, some dominating man, perhaps taking a woman for granted here, her love for granted, not appreciating what she's offering. Oh my god. Holy hell. There really is no sense of growth on some of these tracks. Sometimes they just throw you right into the deep end, like this one here. I feel like Bjork used to be a lot more gradual. She threw that out the window, this LP. What a crushing shift here. This synth is quite heavy. Do you like how heavy this sound is? I just wish it had, you know, I feel like the mix here with the main element and this heavy drop, too jarring for me personally. Doesn't feel earned. Another one that I'm conflicted on. I feel like it's kind of over before it really begins, and it goes a little bit too rapid in its delivery there with that drop. Yeah, sacrifice. Kind of just feel like a track that doesn't really offer a whole lot, lyrically and instrumentally. Here's Mutual Chord.
I shuffle around. Can you hear the effort?
Love the way she rolled her R there, but I feel like we're like in a womb on this one. Like a heartbeat is pulsing. Oh. Bit of a shift.
Eruption and stagnation. You didn't know that I had
Completely 180 once again. It's like she's trying to blend like her techno or like kind of 90s aesthetics that's very futuristic with a sort of throwback sound that feels medieval almost in tone. Huge contrast. I'm not sure if I'm quite connecting with it. Maybe I needed the right element. Like, what is going on here? It feels like this is a completely different style at this point. And now we are going back into, you know what, maybe I like that. I don't know. This LP's got me mystified by what it's trying to go for. Like that whole middle section was bizarre. Total left field. I think I do like this one. I love the contrast. More because it does feel a little bit more gradual than with her. Like this is so. Oh, I love that. A whole album of this I would actually take over most of what we've heard so far. Maybe a hot take, but it's just so futuristic. It's like a homogenic part 2. Which I will say at this point, we're on Biophilia. I will say at this point, this her discography, every release sees her kind of playing with ideas she's done previously while evolving in a way that feels completely different and unique. You know, like I said, Volta felt like a post successor of sorts. This kind of feels like it's taking elements of what we heard on Homogenic, as well as, I would say, Medulla as well, in texture and tone, and kind of blending these ideas. Here's Solstice. Closing it out. I do like the more Eastern approach, too, she's taken on some of these tracks, which we've heard her do as well in the past. I like just the simple plucking revolving around us. Just her and a guitar perhaps of some sort, or a string instrument. Again, themes of nature and of space once again. I mean, with the Solstice, Cosmogony, and Moon, those 3 tracks specifically, and Dark Matter, I would argue, have this theme of space and outer space, which I guess does tie to the theme of nature that we've seen. I do like that kind of loose thread we've had throughout the album so far. Speaking to maybe like a goddess of sorts or something here. Very just quiet, minimal track to end things on. Not much to say about that one. I kind of like that it kind of wraps up some of the themes we've heard thus far of outer space and nature, and seeming like self-empowerment as well, perhaps. I'm very conflicted on if I like that track either. I'm honestly very conflicted on the album at whole, which let's talk about it. This is, I would say, her most, between this and Medulla so far for me, have been the most difficult to fully understand, to fully get into. You know, they both, I would say, are growers of projects. They are not as direct. They don't have as much kind of strong melody and something to grasp onto like her other projects that are certainly more accessible in nature, which certainly makes them both interesting projects at the very least, because none of it is particularly bad. You're definitely going to want to spend more time with them, think about them, and try to understand the perspective and direction that Bjork is coming from and where she's trying to go with these sounds. So on a first listen, it is very hard to fully appreciate what I'm hearing. That being said, I like the themes of space and nature kind of interwoven throughout the LP. Some lines as well, Pearl mentioned in this track, which kind of cycles back to the opening track, which again mentions pearls. So I feel like there are some loose lyrical narratives that are kind of linked. And there's some great tracks on here that I definitely enjoyed right away. I thought Moon was good. I thought Thunderbolt, Crystalline, and Cosmogony here were all fantastic tracks back to back to back. Loved those. Really like the crystal-like cavern approach of Crystalline. And Virus as well, I thought was another fantastic track that I thoroughly enjoyed. And Mutual Core as well. I like the contrasting element of it. Virus had a nice creeping, almost disturbed metaphorical tone to it that could be seen as a positive or a negative, I feel like, depending how you want to look at it. And I really did like that track as well lyrically. There are tracks on here that I did not care for as much. I would say Hollow and Sacrifice, pretty evident from my lack of like there. And Dark Matter as well, I was a little iffy on. It is gibberish at the end of the day, but certainly captures the feeling of, I guess, dark matter in space, perhaps. Biophilia, at the end of the day, just a very challenging listen that I feel like as time goes on is going to be one that I will struggle to fully grasp, and maybe I'll never fully get it. And that's okay. Some albums just aren't going to be for everyone. But I can certainly respect it. So definitely respect Bjork and every artistic direction she has gone into. It definitely feels at least like she knows what she's doing. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. But as always, if you like the video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along and listening to more Bjork albums alongside myself, as well as Pink Floyd we've been doing on the channel and other new albums throughout the year. Check out my Patreon in the description down below if you are interested. For $5 a month, you get unedited content. For everything above, you get bonus content. So go ahead and check that out if you want. But as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.